I'm Lior Phillips, host of This Must Be the Gig. We're a weekly podcast that documents everything about the world of live music, speaking with choreographers, costume and set designers, the people who run beloved venues and festivals, and, of course, speaking with musicians about that one gig that changed their lives. Get your peek behind the curtain at consequenceofsound.net, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's an audio interview series presented by WFPK Independent Louisville at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. If you're not a subscriber to the series, take that moment. What are you waiting on? Hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening from. You can do it at Spotify or YouTube, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, really wherever you get your favorite podcasts from. We put out interviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and would love to keep you up to date on all of those. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, Faye Webster. She has written and produced one of the most critically acclaimed records of 2019 called Atlanta Millionaires Club, and we'll dive into what she calls her most personal record today and why she changed up her writing to reflect that. And while there are a lot of themes in play, there are a few songs about a relationship, and they do stand out to me, so we're going to get into that as well with songs like Flowers and Johnny, but also about one of the biggest standout cuts from the album called Kingston, which hopefully you've no doubt heard. We'll also get into how she found what's become her signature sound with that steel guitar and how it traces back to her parents' music, and have some fun with her Atlanta Braves fandom and her own yo-yo. While all the artists are getting their own signature in guitars and sneakers, she has her own signature yo-yo, and she's really good at it. Talking about the record Atlanta Millionaires Club, it's Kyle Meredith with Faye Webster.
Hey, yeah.
I know you've just kind of started the newest leg of the tour that started out as at Bonnaroo a few days ago, and I read that your parents were in the crowd, and I had to wonder, is that helpful or distracting for an artist up there?
Both. I think it's mainly helpful, or it's mainly like a very great feeling. But then there's also that aspect of it, like stand in front of that sign that says your name kind of thing and let us take a picture, but mostly a very, very amazing thing.
I know for a lot of artists, whether you're putting on an act or anything, I think, there is some sort of persona up there, and it feels like when you've got someone who's known you your whole life that can just destroy that persona with one look, like that, for me at least, would be the distracting parts.
Right. I don't know, you just got to not find them in the audience.
Well, you are in the middle of your first headlining tour, and I should say congratulations, because that's a huge accomplishment to have a headlining tour.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know going into this, earlier in the year, you did have to cancel some dates because I guess it sounded like it kind of got out of hand. You needed some rest. Did the breather allow you to kind of get a handle on that, to get a grasp on it?
Yeah, definitely. I've just never done like an official release or official tour even. Mm-hmm. So I think I did not, I don't know, I had to like learn my limit, etc. But that definitely helped a lot, not having to go to Germany when I was in a state where I should not be going to Germany. So yeah, definitely.
I'll take it out of context. It makes that line from room temperature, I should get out more, just sound a little bit funny.
Always.
So, here you have this amazing record, Atlanta Millionaires Club. It's a beautiful record, kind of one that just, when it finishes, you just go back to track one. It's a really, really great record.
Thank you.
You've said that, this is the record where you learn to write more personal. What was the impetus for that? I
don't know. I think I just kind of had this realization that, like, people are, like, actually listening to my music, and people are actually, I don't know, like, watching me, I guess. And I think it's just a waste of an opportunity if I don't actually like tell these people something. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that was a big motive for this record, which I hope came across well.
Is it fair to call it a relationship record?
Yeah, definitely a lot of songs are. I don't look at it as, this is about a person, this record in a whole, or this is about a relationship. I just think there's a lot of that in the record.
Having the word Johnny in there as a song, and then it does lead on to that. You get to the latter half of the record when it hits Flowers, and I thought, if I'm hearing it right at least, it's almost like you're giving that character a chance to speak on their own. Was there any discussion with Father, the artist Father, of how to paint that character?
No, I think that song is kind of just like a good representation of both of us as an artist. He was never like, here's what you should do. And I was never like, here's how you should do your art. I think it was just both like, this is us. Like, here we are.
But in a collaboration like that, I mean, with a song, does he listen to what you've got going on and then try to find the voice for it?
Yeah, definitely. But I gave him complete freedom. But I was on the song first, so I think he did play off.
That'd be dangerous otherwise, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. People seem to have really latched onto Kingston too. Does that feel like a hit to you? Does that feel different than the other songs now?
I don't know, because that song is so old to me. Like, I have had that for like over 2 years before it even came out as a single. So I know it's so new to people, but it feels so old to me that I don't even know like which way to look at it anymore. So I don't know, but I guess it is, apparently.
Do most of the songs go back that far?
No, they don't. Just that one.
That's what I didn't know, because, you know, I don't mean to hit on the relationship side of things so much, but, you know, as it stands out to me, especially towards that end of the record, I thought when careers are on the up and up, relationships seem to be the thing that take the brunt of it. And I didn't know if, you know, if these were the sad songs of success, but if some of those do, if at least some of them trace back further, I guess that's not exactly true.
Some of them do trace back, yeah.
Well, I'll hit the musical side too then. I mean, there's certain instruments that take us in a specific direction. Steel guitar is one of them. I feel like that's one that everyone's kind of centered on in, but it plays so beautifully on this record. What brought you to that type, to that sound? Where does that come from for you?
I think it comes from the music I listened to growing up, or like around my parents. I think that's kind of when I picked up that instrument.
I think a lot of us, we tend to rebel against our parents or what they listen to, and then maybe come back around to it later. That's not the case with you.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever, just because they've always been insanely supportive. So yeah. I couldn't imagine that being the case.
Well, I don't know. Even with supportive parents, I mean, I'm obviously speaking personally here, but I remember growing up, and my mom would like listen to like Bob Seger and CCR and everything. And when I got to my teenage years, I mean, my mom was always great to me, but that was the last thing that I thought, oh, that's what I want to get behind right now. It didn't happen later, but I guess I didn't come to that the same way you did.
Right. And
then, you know, the third part of this story, Atlanta seems to be a character in this record, whether you mean it to be or not. And a sense of place has just disappeared all around. And I think that's because of the streaming world, and you almost bring it back. I mean, how important is Atlanta to the story? And do you feel like a spokesperson for it right now?
Yeah, kind of. I also think it's also just like subconsciously, I didn't mean for it to be such a big thing in it, but it is. So maybe that's just kind of, I don't know, I guess like proves to me how important that it is to me. But yeah, I mean, I think it definitely plays a big part, because I think those songs wouldn't have come out of me if I didn't move away or move back or et cetera.
You being the Braves fan, I thought the only connection I have, and I won't pretend to know what's happening in baseball these days, but I'm here in Louisville, and, you know, of course we have the Slugger Museum and the Bat Factory and all that, and I can remember. Have you ever been to it?
I have a custom Atlanta Millionaires Club Slugger bat.
Did you get that here in town, or did they send it to you?
I did. No, I went to the museum.
See, I remember when I was younger, and I was probably a teen. I mean, so this was in the 90s and everything, or maybe the early 2000s. I don't know. But anyway, Deion Sanders ended up here because he was slumming it for a minute with the AAA team, and I thought that was the greatest thing. And I think that's my connection with the Atlanta Braves. That's all I got.
That's awesome. That's a nice one.
I do want to hear about your yo-yo, too, because I see that you have your own personalized yo-yo sent to you by a company.
Yes.
How did that happen? What's the story there?
So this company, they make a lot of signature yo-yos for professional, or not, I don't know if professional is a term, but like competing yo-yoists that have their name out there. And I have a lot of them. And I don't know, I wanted to make one, but I was like, I don't want to just make like a shitty plastic Walmart yo-yo. Like, I don't want to just make something. I want to like make something that people will use and like hopefully put them on to this game or sport, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know. We like teamed up, and they let me use their first model of this like plastic trick yo-yo that's supposed to feel like you're playing with a metal one. And they let me be the first design of that. So I have like a very legit yo-yo.
I know a lot of artists do their own shoes. I gotta say, you're the only person that I've ever spoken to that has their own yo-yo.
That's awesome.
It's like manifesting that into the world. Is there like a backup career for you here? Can you become a professional yo-yoist?
There are people that are so good and they still don't make that much money. Like, I don't think there's like a living behind it, but that would be sick.
I mean, I guess you can have your cake and eat it too right now. I mean, both coexisting. It's impressive. It really is.
Thank you.
Well, again, congratulations. Atlanta Millionaires Club has been one of my favorite records that I've heard this year. It's nothing short of astounding. And I don't mean to overpaint that or anything, but I really am in love with these songs. So thank you for making it, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll see you out on the road and hopefully catch some of the yo-yoing while I'm at it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. Thanks again to Faye Webster. The new record is called Atlanta Millionaires Club. It's out now. Hey, before you get out of here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening from. Again, you can do that at Spotify, at YouTube, iTunes, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcasts from. And while you're there, please do give the series a rating and leave a review if you feel inspired, or just say hi. Tell me where you're listening from. After that, head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can also find some bonus episodes of this series. ConsequenceOfSound.net has your music and film news. You can also find me at Twitter at Kyle Meredith, Facebook/Kyle Meredith, and that does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.